Hello and welcome to the program. I am Deji. On Wednesday, May the 29th, of course, a new chapter of political administration was opened in Nigeria. President Muhammadu Buhari and Vice President Yemi Osinbajo officially began their second term after taking the customary oath of office in a low-key ceremony at the Eagle Square in Abuja. After months of rigorous campaigns driven by the next-level mantra and hinged on tackling corruption, fixing the economy, providing jobs, among others, the president has received another chance to prove to the Nigerian people that he is capable of delivering on these promises and advancing the country beyond its current state. In other words, the president must now begin to walk his talk. Definitely, many people are hoping for better performance from this administration, and fully aware of this, the president has promised to surprise those who described him as slow during his previous tenure. You'll recall that it took President Muhammadu Buhari almost 6 months to put his cabinet together. That's talking about ministerial appointment. There was this delay on the one hand, and on the other hand was the demand for the president to reshuffle his cabinet and weed out, of course, the ministers perceived to be underperforming. Of course, that did not happen. Also, a huge pressure is now being mounted on the president to address the widespread security challenges across the country. There's also the issue surrounding the country's economy and education sectors. To a very large extent, different groups and individuals have different demands they're placing on this government. So the big question is, how much of this can be met or achieved in 4 years? We'll wait until June 12 when the president will once again reveal his agenda to really know the direction the new administration is heading. But joining me now for a review of President Buhari's, not just a review now of President Buhari's scorecard, but actually to set the agenda for his second term, I have Gabriel Idahosa, who is a financial consultant. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you.
First term, very quickly, how would you assess it?
Well, pretty much below expectation. At the time he came in 2015, there were a lot of expectations that he would deal very, very quickly with the key issues at that time. The security situation was very bad. The economy was wobbling, and particularly because of his background, it was expected that the security situation will be quickly addressed. But 4 years down the road, yes, Boko Haram is degraded, but we still have pervasive insecurity.
And we have a new challenge.
Across almost all over the country, you have these issues of random killings and kidnappings that seem to have no pattern, seem to indicate a general decay in the security architecture that is able to preempt this kind of criminal activity and ensure that they don't even happen, or even when they happen, the people are quickly apprehended, and you discourage other people to want to do the same thing. So on the security side, we have that score that is not great. On the economy side, we don't seem to have done very well, growing at less than 2% for most of the 4 years, and population growing at 3% means that we were not growing. Even when we came out of recession, if we are growing at 4 to 5%, then we really have come out of a recession. If we are growing at 3% or below, we are not growing. We are only just not sinking.
Okay, let's talk about the economy, and let's just set the agenda now for the president. In 2015, it took him upward of 6 months to set up his cabinet, and look, the cabinet is very crucial. We saw what happened in South Africa just days after Cyril Ramaphosa was elected president. He's gone on to set up his cabinet. In the case of Nigeria, what do you expect from the president? Because obviously you would expect that he would have learned from what happened in 2015, and this time we shouldn't expect to see that kind of delay we saw back then.
No, the point is he has had 4 years to assess these ministers. He had time during the elections to make up his mind who to keep, who not.
So this would be like some kind of cabinet reshuffle for him.
So you don't really expect much time before he announces. If he doesn't announce the cabinet by June 12, a lot of people will be surprised that we are going down the road again of 2015. We expect the cabinet to be already on his desk.
At least let's have the appointments made, even though we know the National Assembly will still take time to confirm, but let's have announcements.
We expect to have the announcement says these are the cabinet that we will work with, pending approval by the National Assembly. Then that sends a message to the economy, to foreign partners to say, yes, this time is different from 2015. It's ready to hit the ground running. And we expect that once the National Assembly comes in place, they will quickly pass. More important are those appointments that do not require National Assembly
approval.
Some very key appointments. So the advisors, very key people in the presidency that should be there actually, even by now, that have not been announced.
And you did talk about economic growth. At the moment, of course, the economy growing at less, overall now, growing at less than 2%. Of course, the last figure now for the first quarter of 2019 released by the National Bureau of Statistics, we saw some semblance of growth to 2.01%. The government targets that at the end of this year, the economy would have grown by 3.01%. I mean, you look at the figures released by the Bureau of Statistics recently, of course, not so wonderful, to be candid, not so wonderful. You think that target, that, that the government will be able to meet that target of 3.01% at the end of this year? From what we have seen.
No,
so
first
far.
is that the target is too unambitious. It's far too low. This economy needs to grow at something between 6 and 7%. If you seriously...
well, but even the World Bank is projecting around 2.2% or so.
When the government itself is targeting 2 to 3%, it speaks to the fundamental understanding of the key issues in the economy. You want to create employment for maybe 30, 40 million young people who are unemployed. Every year, the universities are bringing out another 3 million, 3 million undergraduates. And you want to grow at 3%. The population is growing at 3%. So you are saying that you don't want to grow the economy. You just want to catch up with population growth.
Well, maybe there's no magic one.
So it is a matter of ideas. The ideas that will grow the economy. To leapfrog the economy, not just grow incrementally. Incremental growth won't do it. You need a policy, a package of reforms that completely leapfrogs the economy, takes the economy to what they are trying to say another level. And then you start growing from 6 or 7% incrementally. So you need to have some very, very drastic economic measures, not an incremental kind of thing.
And talking about those economic measures now, what exactly are those measures that you would want to see in place in this second term? So
you really want to leapfrog the economy, then you have to do those things that we have not done. You need to take out the subsidy. You need to
take out the subsidy.
Take out the subsidy.
Can the system actually cope with that?
It can cope. We took out half of the subsidy before, and the heavens did not fall.
I'm just wondering, with inflation at 11 point something percent,
yes,
taking out subsidy at this time,
yes,
completely,
yes,
would Nigerians be able to cope with that?
Well,
or should there be a gradual removal of the
when
subsidy?
we say take out the subsidy, it's not...
Because the refineries are still not working.
Yeah, it is not that you do it this morning and say, okay, the subsidy is gone. But have a commitment to take out the subsidy. Have a plan that takes it. If the government in 2015 has said that in 3 years we are taking out the subsidy on an incremental action every 6 months, by now we'll be out of the subsidy. But if you are not committed to removing the subsidy, then a lot of things don't happen.
And quite a lot of money goes down that subsidy lane, because the National Assembly even reported that in the past 3 or 4 years that we spent about 11 trillion or so.
Exactly. See, a lot of people who would have invested in certain sectors, downstream oil industry, for example, did not invest because of subsidy. The big refineries that are being built now are anticipating that subsidies will slide out of the system.
Like the Dangote refinery.
They will, because if you don't remove the subsidy, then you will just buy the refined products from these refineries that are being built at the same rate as if you are buying them from abroad. The only difference will be the freights.
Absolutely.
That's the only difference.
You also know that there's this political side of removing subsidy. The government, of course, will naturally be afraid of the political backlashes we have seen in the past with previous governments, you know, always scared of the political backlash from the people. How do you deal with that?
Well, the point is that Nigeria is not the first country that will remove subsidy. It's a question of how you do it and what you put in place. If you have a program to remove subsidies, and you say, because we are removing subsidies, we are going to, for example, bring down school fees across the board, universities, polytechnics, all government office or government schools will have to either go free or the fees are going to go down. We are going to put money in housing. We are going to put money in transportation. So whatever we are getting from removing the subsidy are going to go immediately to reduce the cost of living for the majority of Nigerians. Then the backlash you are talking about will be moderated. The people will say, okay, let me see what you want to do, and actually start doing those things, and then you remove the subsidies. But because it's the chicken and the egg,
which comes first?
Which comes first? You can't say we cannot reduce subsidy. Therefore, we have to spend millions, billions of naira to pay subsidy. And you turn around, we don't have money for primary health care. We don't have money for primary education. We don't have money for security. So really, it's something simple, immediately effective, to take all the businesses owned by NNPC and say, we have run them ourselves for so many years, we can see it hasn't worked. We give LNG 49% to ourselves, 51% to people who have the technical and financial resources.
And
it's doing very well. So let's just use this same formula. So all the companies in the NNPC group, government keep 49%, give 51% or thereabouts, a slight majority to foreign and local investors who have the technical and financial resources. That will completely change the oil and gas industry. And it will begin to make as much money as the LNG is doing, and we don't need to pay any consultants to do it because we have 20-25 experience of running Nigeria LNG and seeing that it works. It's a validated model. It's not something we are copying or going to experiment with. The only thing stopping us is vested interests. People who want to continue to control NNPC.
And another issue I'd want you to speak to very quickly before we round up is the issue of unemployment. How do you think, the government should deal with it? Because whether we like it or not, it's a problem. And the fact is that, look, the government cannot on its own employ everybody anyway. So how does the government deal with that? A situation where you have, well, the last figure we got was over 18% are unemployed in the country.
Well, employment, of course, is the result of a broad range of policies. We talked about some two key items. But generally, you are looking at the whole framework of ease of doing business. What are the things that encourage investors, large and small, to employ more people? The government generally now at the federal level understands the framework of the ease of doing business, the things that needs to be done. The question now is how fast will first the federal government implement those key parameters that anywhere in the world indicate the ease of doing business. But more important for a federation is how much the states and even local government are keen into the ease of doing business program.
Very important.
Because if states and local government are not moving in tandem with the federal government, the ease of doing business will not happen, the jobs will not be created. And that is the only way to create jobs across industries.
Thank you very much for coming on the program and for sharing your thoughts with us. Let's just hope things change. I believe you're positive things would change going forward.
I am.
Because we just hope things change.
Thank you.
And Nigerians certainly want to see a better Nigeria. Beginning from now to the next 4 years. Thank you very much for coming on the program.
Thank you.
All right, we'll take a short break and the program will be right back. On Deji 360, we don't just ask the questions. What is wrong with amending the Constitution the way the National Assembly members have been doing it? We seek answers.
Constitution is constituent. Our problem is not lack of laws. Our problem is lack of the willpower to implement our laws.
Answers that provide clarity.
While we negotiate, we should try to make it a point that the girls must be complete.
The clarity you need to make informed judgment so that you can make the right decision and take action. People are saying it is you politicians that are responsible for this, that you are the reason why this is happening.
All these dollars that call themselves governors in this country.
I wish we had people like Tony at the National Assembly.
God forbid that I go to join that band.
Deji 360, providing clarity to issues.